Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Our Lives official. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. At The Spectator, Everett remembered seeing EJ and Stefan huddled together near the loading dock at the bistro earlier that night. Everett told Chad that it seemed like Stefan and EJ were bickering. Everett mentioned EJ's previous involvement in the narcotics trade. Chad dismissed the idea that EJ or Stefan could be behind Salem's drug ring. Stephanie walked in with Chinese cuisine she had bought for a late-night appointment with Everett. Chad left after declining an invitation to join Everett and Stephanie. Stephanie was astonished over dinner when Everett said that reporting on the drug trade was triggering for him. Everett claimed that he had covered the heroin crisis in Seattle years ago, without Stephanie's knowledge. Everett went on to say that he had lost a friend to an overdose and that discovering the friend's lifeless body had left him terrified. Everett explained that he hadn't told Stephanie because he was trying to conceal his memories and remain focused on Stephanie. Stephanie invited Everett to drink with her. Everett declined, stating that he needed to continue focusing on work. Stephanie and Everett decided to meet one other again shortly. Nicole welcomed Maggie to Holly's hospital room. Nicole stated that she and Maggie had been reminded of how delicate life was. And we have to pay attention to the people that we love, and never, ever take them for granted, Nicole added through tears as she and Maggie hugged. Nicole mentioned that Maggie had been an AA sponsor for many years and inquired if Maggie had noticed any problematic indications in Holly. Maggie replied she hadn't, and that Holly's drug use could have been an isolated episode. Maggie asked Nicole if she agreed with EJ that Tate was to blame for Holly's overdose after she cited Tate's arrest. Nicole claimed she solely blamed herself for not noticing Holly was experiencing problems. Paulina entered carrying an imitation orchid that she had purchased. Paulina apologized to Nicole and Maggie and stated that as mayor, she was doing everything in her power to end the drug crisis in Salem. Nicole thanked Paulina, who then began coughing. Paulina appeared skeptical when, after a few sips of water, she told Maggie and Nicole that she was all right. Paulina informed Holly that everyone in Salem was praying for her. When Paulina swore to find out who was behind the Salem drug cartel, Maggie reminded her to take care of herself. Paulina stated that she intended to see her doctor soon. Nicole continued to hold Holly's hand after Paulina had departed. Maggie told Holly that many people were praying for both her and Tate. Maggie kindly stated that she, Nicole, and Holly will spend a spa day together once Holly was better. Nicole agreed, explaining that her New Year's resolve had been to spend more time with Holly. "And I pray I have the chance to make that one stick," Nicole told me. When Ava arrived at Tripp and Wendy's apartment, she discovered that Wendy had already gone for the airport. Tripp stunned Ava by informing her that he would not be joining Wendy in Hong Kong. Tripp also stated that he did not accept Ava's claim that there was nothing going on at the bistro and that he was concerned about her. Ava was irritable and complained that she had had a long day. Tripp claimed that the Ava he knew would have tried to talk her son out of leaving halfway across the world. Tripp also stated that he wanted to keep Ava safe and that no one would stop him. Wendy entered just then, carrying her suitcase. Wendy told Tripp she had decided to stay in Salem, which startled him. Ava grabbed her purse and took Wendy's return as an excuse to leave. Ava expressed her happiness for Tripp and Wendy and wished them good night. Wendy stated that she felt at home in Salem with Tripp after Ava left. Wendy realized something was hurting Tripp when he went silent for a little while. Tripp said that he felt awful that Wendy prioritized his family over her own. Wendy saw that her parents had an entire village for support, whereas Ava only had Tripp. Tripp maintained a tight lip. Wendy quickly became agitated, accusing Tripp of being relieved that she was on her way to Hong Kong. Wendy told Tripp that he had wanted her to leave Salem, and she stated that she would stay regardless of Tripp's wishes. Tripp reached for Wendy and pulled her close to him. "I like it. I really like it," Tripp stated as he and Wendy kissed. Wendy called her mother to tell she had decided to stay in Salem. Tripp concluded that the call had not gone well. Wendy explained that she had not anticipated it to. When Wendy questioned whether her parents had ever actually been in love, Tripp assured her that he was more in love with her than ever. Wendy wrapped her arms around Trip, telling him that he was the guy of her dreams and that she loved him wholeheartedly. Trip and Wendy kissed. Stefan was relieved when Gabby called him at the DiMera mansion. Stefan promised to pay Gabby a visit in Statesville as soon as possible, and he said they'd have an important conversation. A prison operator unexpectedly stopped the connection before Stefan could tell Gabby he loved her. Stefan took a sip of alcohol. A short while later, Ava saw Stefan drinking alone in the living room. Ava explained that she had nowhere else to go after leaving Trip and Wendy's residence. Ava agreed to have a drink with Stefan and informed him about Wendy's decision not to relocate to Hong Kong. Ava went on to say that she would have to be even more careful about what she said and did in the future. Chad walked in and inquired why Ava was at the home. Chad noticed it was late at night and became skeptical when Stefan mentioned that he and Ava had business to accomplish. Stefan clarified that Chad was unconcerned with his and Ava's work. It actually is. You see, I now control the Spectator, and I've entrusted my star reporter with writing an exposé on the drug trade in Salem. Are the DiMeras engaged here, Stefan? Are we probing my own family? Chad asked. Chad mentioned Ava's involvement with the mafia, claiming that she had learned how to launder cocaine. Chad was dubious of Stefan and Ava's business partnership, and he remarked that Ava and Stefan appeared to be cozy. Ava approached Stefan. What can I say? I can't keep away from DiMera males. Let's give up. He's on to us, Ava murmured to Stefan, pulling him in close for a kiss. Chad sent a warning to Stefan. I hope you aren't involved in this drug trade, brother. Or it'll be a house of cards that collapses around you, Chad added as he departed. Stefan went to Ava after Chad was out of sight. What the hell was that? Stefan asked fiercely. Oh, you understand exactly what that was. If you don't want to join your wife in prison, we need to play the joyful betrayers in front of Chad and Harris to keep them off our backs, Ava explained. When Stefan claimed he wasn't comfortable with Ava's suggestion, Ava told him to get comfortable. Ava went on to say that her and Stefan's existence depended on their ruse, and she inquired whether he was interested in survival. Of course, I'm interested, Stefan replied. Then get interested in this, Ava replied, grabbing Stefan. Ava and Stefan shared a kiss for a few seconds. The only way I will leave Salem is if you two gentlemen kidnap or murder me. I wouldn't put it past you, Constantine replied. Constantine claimed that, unlike John and Steve, he was not a murderer. John threatened to send Constantine to a desert island if he didn't cooperate and left. No communication. There's no way out. Clean and simple, Steve said. Constantine chuckled. I could begin a new life. Just as you have, Mr. Black, Constantine replied. Constantine mentioned that the fresh air reminded him of his villa in Aria. Steve admitted that he had no idea where he was. I thought I saw a spark of recognition when you heard the name, Constantine remarked. Constantine asked Steve whether he was certain he had never visited Aria. Steve, annoyed, explained that he had visited the world but could not recall every port. But it's none of your damn business, anyway, Steve growled. There is no reason for you to be upset, Constantine replied. John was curious, so he asked Constantine what he had been hinting at. Steve repeated his threat to Constantine to leave. You seem rattled, Constantine observed. Steve shouted at Constantine for taking advantage of a family friend.